Oh, the overlay is still on. Hold on. 1 minute, everybody. Hey, there we are. Welcome, everybody, to Screen Time Continuum. Hoping that you're having a wonderful Sunday night. Happy day to all of you out there. And I have the gentleman with me, as always, Keelan. Happy Sunday, man. How you doing?
Happy Sunday, doing well. Not as spooked as I thought I would be on this Sunday Eve.
Well, the
But
spooky
I mean,
season
hey,
is the spooky season's dying down, so maybe that's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah. And we got Mike here. What's going on, man?
Enjoying the continuation of the spooky season because it's year round for me.
Hey, there you go. That's right.
Spooky man.
Hey, I prefer horror movies and scary stuff.
Yeah, that is true. You are our resident connoisseur of the macabre. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We are very excited to talk about the movie Five Nights at Freddy's that premiered just last week, I believe, and is available for streaming on Peacock. If you have not seen the movie, this is your fair spoiler warning. I think it's pretty recent that we should probably let you know that we're going to be spoiling the details of this movie. So if that's not something you're interested in, turn back now and then come back to us when you've watched it. If you've seen it and or don't mind being spoiled, join us for the conversation. We're going to get into it very shortly. But I wanted to give some, details about the movie first before we hand it over to the gentleman for first impressions. So it came out October 27th, and it is directed by Emma Tammy. It's written by Scott Cawthon, Seth Kudebeck, and Emma Tammy. And it stars Josh Hutcherson, Piper Rubio, and Elizabeth Lale. And the tagline for this movie is: a troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realizes that the night shift won't be so easy to get through. Pretty soon, he will unveil what actually happened at Freddy's. Dun, dun, dun. And for a lot of you that are familiar, this is based on the video game Five Nights at Freddy's. I think that's enough information off the top. Gentlemen, first impressions. What's going on? Keelan, are you there? Keelan is not there, so we're going to go with Mike first. Mike, what was your first impressions of this movie?
First impressions was I kind of like the concept of animatronics, the way they were trying to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the execution was pretty poor. The story was kind of lacking. Some elements of it were interesting. I didn't care for Mike's kind of his backstory. I didn't care for that because it just made it. It just seemed like everything was too convenient for him to make it all line up towards the end. So I didn't care for it as much. I thought it was a little lazy. I didn't care for. It's mostly the characters I didn't like. The story so much I didn't mind as much, but the characters I really didn't like. It was okay though, you know. It's better than the last one we watched for sure.
What was the last one we watched? I already forgot. That's how good it was.
Blood and Honey.
Oh yeah, that one was bad too. This is not as bad, that's for sure. This is better than Blood and Honey. I'll give it that. Definitely. Keelan is back and he looks like he's angry at our conversation here.
It's not you guys. I'm trying to figure out my phone. Everything just froze. It was weird.
Oh, okay. Well, since you're back, you want to give us your first impressions about the movie?
I would love to.
I can go first if you like. So you're still troubleshooting.
Not sure what you guys said. Not sure how far we are into this thing. Can you guys hear me? Are we good? I sound nice. My mic sounds.
I was just saying how fantastic this movie was, and I think it deserves an Oscar.
I don't want to hear your patronism. I don't want to hear it. I don't. So listen, my first impressions. I'm sure it's somewhere along the line of wherever you guys were with it. Only thing I heard Nick say were
That is
and
exactly how I sound too.
Yep.
It works.
and
Almost the exact verbiage too.
Yep.
well, no, I'm saying I didn't hear what you said. I heard the tone of what you were saying, and you said something about that last heap of shit we watched. Um, oh dang! Before the 10-minute mark, I apologize. It's the only time I apologize is when before the 10-minute mark, right?
Yep.
So, my first impressions of Five Nights at Freddy's, I didn't know what to expect for this movie. I was introduced to the entire concept of Five Nights at Freddy's and what it is by children because it was a game, I guess, that was geared towards children. Or
Yeah.
maybe it started as a YouTube channel stuff, and then it turned into video game, or
Yeah, I'm
maybe it
not sure
started
about
as
that either.
I think so. I believe it started as a game, and people were streaming it, and kids were watching people stream it on YouTube. I
Yep.
think that's how it got out there. Popular. Thank you, because I didn't want to say out of control because I feel like that's condescending. And I mean, hey,
Right.
the concept I think is actually pretty nostalgic, but I'm sure we get into that in a little bit. So, the movie itself, though, the concept for me, I kind of I dug the concept, but I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure I'm not sure if every bit of this movie comes from the video game. You know what I mean? Like this could just be like the first stage of all the levels played out for all we know. And because of that, I didn't know how to go into this movie. Initially, I was gonna go into it like, oh, okay, it's a video game, kind of like watching The Last of Us. But then I thought about watching The Last of Us, and you kind of had to remove yourself from watching, or excuse me, from playing the game, even though I didn't play it. But that was something that was said, like just kind of let that go. Either way, you're gonna enjoy the story. So I didn't want to know anything else about the game. I watched the movie. It was decently thought out. Um, but damn was it rushed. And I mean, in so many ways, like the script jumps around quite a bit. Uh, the cinematography was trash. I, I, I mean, now it wasn't worse than the one we just watched. It wasn't worse than that, the visual aspect of it. But Josh Hutcherson is probably the only reason I watched this damn movie. And that's because pretty much everything he's in gives me the freaking giggles. Because it's just it makes no sense. It's nonsensical. And I actually appreciate that when I see him in a movie, I don't expect it to make any sense, or a TV show even. I don't expect it to make any sense. I expect it to be stupid upon stupid, and that's the entertainment of it all. This might have took itself a little too serious, and then it tried to make the stupid elements make sense, and that's disappointing.
I think you might have been saying the same thing I was trying to say
Possibly so.
to some degree.
Possibly so. But yeah, that's hands in the air, man. We watched it, so we got to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I think that this movie is good if you're 12.
There you go. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's definitely made for kids. I didn't realize that when I chose it. I thought it was going to be a little bit more adult, a little bit more slasher. What I would have liked is, like a group of people locked in there for like, I don't know, however long, and they're getting picked off one by one by all the animatronics. That's kind of where I thought it was going, but it really diverged into this familial drama that was much more geared towards children. I guess I should have probably known since the game is more geared towards kids, but for what it is, it's not terrible. It's not something that as an adult I enjoyed. But I could see myself looking at this as like a 12-year-old and thinking this was a pretty good movie. I don't think I would have been like in love with it, but I would have thought it was good enough. Yeah, the storyline is kind of weak. The concept is interesting. There are some decent shots. The animatronics look decent. The story is the story is kind of where it fell flat to me, and some of the characters within the story, and then just sort of the contrivedness of people inserted into the story and all of that stuff just didn't work for me. There are like 2 tracks of story going on. Well, yeah, there are 2 tracks. There's like this astral plane story as well as, like a brother and his sister, and it's just all over the place. But yeah, it's not terrible. I don't think that I'll go back to it, but again, if I was a kid, I think I would like it.
Okay,
Um,
wait.
yeah.
Before we move forward, you saying that I just ran through certain parts of this movie like that I really didn't like from a cinematic point.
Mhm.
And I'm like, if this is a kids movie, which I never thought about this being a kids movie, but if this is a kids movie, okay, I can't totally just pull all in, and now I have to make sure I don't use bad words because again, yeah, I apologize for my earlier slip up, but if this is a kids movie in my head, no, I'm not gonna say it's good, Mike. Stop snickering over there. But if this is a
That
kids
wasn't me.
movie,
That was
oh,
me.
okay, that's you. Okay, so
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bad. I looked up and I didn't see a smile on your face, and I was like, God dang it, Mike.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking, those cinematic choices wouldn't make sense, or I wouldn't like them as an adult. But you're right, as a kid, yeah, I would be like, wait, why'd they do that? And it would make me pay more attention. And that's not necessarily I would like it as a kid, but it would be more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are elements of the movie that are just kind of like what, and really just it's not geared towards adults because there is no real graphicness to the violence. It's all very PG-13, and the only real creepy thing is the animatronics, and they kind
Mhm.
of they kind of do their thing, but there isn't a
Mhm.
lot of scary going on here.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, it even takes a very strange turn. So let's get into the movie. The movie surrounds these characters named something and something because I've already forgotten their names. I know the little sister is named Abby.
Abby and
Abby.
Mike.
Mike, yes,
Yeah.
and they're brother and sister. And Mike is a narcoleptic.
No.
No.
No, okay.
No.
I think he's a narcoleptic, but he is a security guard at a mall to start off with. And he's going throughout his day, and we see that he's looking as he's in the ice cream line. He notices a little kid alone that swiftly gets snatched up by a man, and he goes into Paul Blart Mall Cop mode and attempts to run him down, and then throws the man into a fountain and beats the ever loving hell out of him.
Wish there
And
were
that
more like him.
yeah, they are.
Right. Right.
The only bad part is that apparently that was the child's father, and we
Right.
find out that Mike has some mental issues because he's had some trauma with abduction in the past
Mhm.
that we'll get to. But that all of that serves to put Mike out of a job, and Mike, we find out, is taking care of his sister Abby,
Mhm.
and they seem to be all by themselves, and he is we find out in a sort of court struggle with Cruella DeVille,
Mhm.
who wants
Exactly
to
who I thought that was.
yeah, who wants to steal his little sister away, which is actually the aunt. But
Right.
she wants the money from the state apparently
Oh,
because
I thought you wanted to turn her into a coat.
But it seemed like she got money. So what's this whole thing about her wanting the money?
right, exactly. So she wants money from the state. So she wants to take Abby from Mike, but she's also willing to pay a couple scrubs to $1,000 to go do something later. So we don't really know the motivation behind Cruella. We don't really know why she doesn't like Abby at all, and Abby doesn't like her. So I think this is all just serves for another reason that Mike needs to get a job and clean up his act.
I
Um,
think Aunt Jan, whatever her name is, I think she serves as this so from the very beginning when we find out what's going on with Mike, his mental health, and even that whole scene in the mall and Aunt Jane. Um, this is all to paint some instability in Mike's life,
mhm,
but what it really shows me is even though yes, there's a lot of instability in Mike's life, there is no other resource for Abby. And you're seeing that right from the gate. Like Mike's taking the ass in jobs. He's being ridiculed for taking poor in jobs. and then being treated like crap at those jobs. Now he's not doing the best job, but that's a whole nother discussion within what we're dealing with. Aunt Jane, on the other hand, it's like she just wants it's like she wants to see everybody do bad. So my question really was with her, where are her kids?
She probably doesn't have any.
He doesn't
That's
have
what I'm
any.
thinking.
Yeah.
That's exactly the
Yeah. Yeah, so Aunt Jane is this weird Cruella-esque character who wants to take Abby away from Mike, and that means that Mike now has to find a new job and get his act together. Now, before we get farther, he is a narcoleptic.
no.
No? It's just a
He
drug
pops
addict.
sleeping pills.
No,
He's
he's taking sleeping pills so he can have his dreams. He's not actually
yeah.
just falling asleep.
His dreams make him feel closer to his brothers, so he's inducing himself to sleep so that he has deeper sleeps and he can try to solve his brother's murder, even though that
I
doesn't
think
really
we
help.
could have. I think that's a B plot that could have been completely removed from this movie, if I'm being honest.
I agree
We
because
all agree on this
honestly,
point.
nothing has anything to do with his brother in that situation. It's like
Mm-mm.
very that whole story is very sparse together. But the other situation that happens on the astral plane is supposed to be what is the purpose of his
Yes, yeah.
dreams.
Yeah, right. The climax of all of the things. But yes, apparently Mike is very obsessed with lucid dreaming and this dream state. And we find out that Mike has had a conflict. Well, we'll get to that once we get to the cop, which I think is a dumb
Well,
addition as well.
we learn that way before
That
the
did make
cop
sense.
though, because we already by this time before he even gets the job, we already know about Garrett.
The brother. Okay, so yes,
Yeah.
Mike's brother was abducted when they were out camping as kids with their parents. The mom spilled some soda and then said, "Watch your watch your little brother for 1 second." And apparently, there was that 1 second where he lost track of him because a frisbee came by, and his brother walked off and was abducted. And that's
So
the reason that Mike has
where'd the
issues.
dad go?
So
Stop asking questions.
after the brother gets abducted, the mom dies.
The mom
Mom dies a few
yeah.
years later, and dad leaves because of the stress of it all.
But wait. No, I'm saying when little brother gets snatched up and they're in the
Oh
woods.
yeah. There, no, he should have been watching too. He should have
Okay.
been. Yes, of course. The idea that and of course the idea at the moment the mother takes her eyes off her son, she gets abducted. It's like, okay, wait, what? Come on.
Right.
The key to
It
that
was
part, though, is
it was
that it's
the
not
70s
his
or the
fault,
80s.
and he can't accept that. He
All right,
blames
so-
himself, and he shouldn't.
Yeah, because he was the older brother. It was the 80s,
Right.
so everything was just. I'm assuming dad was over at the neighbor's tent grabbing a beer or something.
They were all just sitting there. They were all just right there.
In all this movie, they were just sitting there, but I'm going left. Sorry.
Yeah, so we find out that Mike's brother was abducted under his charge for 20 seconds while his mom was getting paper towels from the tent. And he was abducted and taken away. And so Mike has this big chip on his shoulder about the fact that he let his brother get abducted. And so that colors a lot of his perspective in his adult world. And that's why he beats up that dad that took his kid because he thought it was an abductor. And so then he's fired. And now he's looking for a new job in order to keep his sister in his custody. Else the aunt is going to be suing for custody.
I do think it's funny, not funny, interesting how he's fighting for this job, but never once do they say what it is his struggles are. It's just inherent that because he has a child, things are difficult.
Well, I mean, he's kind of right though. His struggles are that he beat the crap out of an innocent guy.
Oh yeah, no, that I get. He's getting a job, but I'm saying, if one parent is gone, one parent died. It's a high probability that there's some level of insurance money to take care of the little sister for a while you get like.
Yeah, well, there's also a high probability that if you leave your children, you would be put in jail. And for some reason, the father just up and left his kids.
You mean abandonment?
Just abandoned them. Yeah.
Well, I guess because Mike's an adult, it doesn't count. But yeah, so I was just saying the point of.
No, it still counts.
Yeah, that still
Because
counts.
Yeah,
he's
because
like what?
Abby's a child.
That's not what I was talking about.
Oh.
Yes, that still counts 1,000%. That's not what I was talking about. Um, I forgot, but I was just talking about as far as Mike executing, like actually taking care of it. Oh, he would possibly have a little bit extra time to find a better situation than to have to take this little penny
Yeah, if he
acid
wasn't a
situation.
drug addict, if he wasn't a
Yeah,
drug
now
addict,
that now
narcoleptic.
see now the drug addict part we can discuss. We can
Yeah,
discuss the pill popping habits, but he was not a narcoleptic unless we're talking about drug induced narcoleptic. Now that yes
yes.
sir,
That's
yes
what
he
I
absolutely was then.
mean, you might as well say that because he's like compulsively falling asleep all over the place. And it's supposedly because he wants to astral project to go find his brother or figure out how his brother got kidnapped.
Yeah,
He's trying to go back to the same memory over and over again to see if he can find more details about the abduction.
right. And those are the residual effects of taking sleeping pills. Yeah, you're gonna go to sleep when you want to, but you also gonna fall asleep later in the middle of the day when that second round of that shit kick into your system because
Oh
it's
I
yeah.
just
don't,
in your
none
head.
of it worked. I can't say.
Say again.
So he said
No, I
he
was just
can't.
saying I don't know how sleeping drugs work. I ain't never took any.
Oh, I assume so. My theory would be this: you take any type of medicine, Robitussin, aspirin, any of it, it's in your system for a period of time. So you have the introduction cycle, and then you have whatever other shit goes on, how long it's in your body. At some point, your body is going to go through those effects more than once.
Yeah.
Just, it just makes
Well,
sense because your
it's
body's
Fair enough.
changing on your body.
drug induced narcolepsy is what Mike's got, and he's going to look for a job. So he goes to a job. What do you call those?
Temp
Job
agency.
office, temp
Yeah.
agency. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
typically.
yeah. So
This
he goes
didn't
to.
make sense to me, but I knew something was messed up.
Oh yeah, well, so he goes to the temp agency and he has this interview with Matthew Lillard, who is the sort of recruiter for
Mhm.
people with jobs, and he says, you beat up some guy in your last job. You've only kept another job for about a week. The other one was about 2 months for insubordination. There's not a whole lot we can do for you, except we do have a job for you.
Do it as one
Um,
job.
we got this one job that you might like. It's terrible pay and it's worse hours. And I'm just like, okay, well, no, I don't want that then.
Yeah, right.
I'm
How do I
like,
take care of a kid with that?
Who
right,
didn't have a
exactly.
flashback like I remember that?
Yeah. It's terrible pay with worse hours. And Mike sort of soberly says, well, I can't work nights. And of course, this is a night shift job. So he leaves the recruitment office, but not without taking the recruiter's card first. And then what finally pushes him over the edge is the suing of his aunt, right? It's that
Yeah,
his aunt
suing
is
for
going to
custody.
right. His aunt is going to sue for custody of Abby. And so now he really can't mess around. He's got to do whatever he can to get a job because the social worker likes him and basically is telling him, like, if you get your stuff together, you'll probably have a better shot.
Right.
I like how
Shoot,
the
he
aunt
should have
thinks
started dating the the
special
social
needs.
worker.
Right.
Say
I
it
like
again. What you say?
I like how the aunt thinks she's special needs and kind of slow or whatever she think,
The
but
aunt is slow.
she want to take her take the kid into her house and be her guardian. It's like you think
Sort of put.
she's special or simple or whatever you think, and the social worker's telling no, she's not any
Yeah.
of that.
I think the aunt again is an example of a lot of quote unquote family members who take children in through the system. And because they simply don't really want to deal with the issues, but they see some benefit and they get the credit of being helpful, they take the kids, they sedate them, they get a check, and they're looked at as a hero.
Right.
True. Yeah. And
Look at what I'm doing. I'm selfless.
yes. And yeah, and the only motivation we know of from the movie is that she wants that sweet, sweet state check every month.
$50.
Yeah, which couldn't be
Right.
more than $1,000 or $2,000. I don't know.
I mean, she looked like she was about 7, maybe 8. I'm thinking that check's about 800.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be crazy money, but
No,
I'm also thinking they might live in like rural Nebraska or some shit.
it does look like it's a small town with the very cheap rent. So,
Right.
but this file for custody from the aunt propels Mike to take the desperate job, which is, the night job. And he calls the recruiter, and the recruiter gives him the montage and the rundown of what he's going to be doing. And we find out that he's going to be a security guard for Freddy Fazbear's.
Fazbear, yeah. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Yes, Freddy
You mean Chuck E.
Fazbear's.
Cheese? Whoops.
No.
No, we don't.
Charles Edward Cheese. Thank you
That's
very
right.
much.
That's right.
Yeah.
You stop playing with Charlie's name. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll treat you.
So he does his first day there, and it's basically he has to sit in this room. It's an abandoned old pizza shop that nobody goes to. There's nothing around there. It's derelict. Yeah.
My first question was, why he not just sitting in the parking lot in his car?
I mean, you might as well at that point. You don't really
Why am I
need-
inside this place?
I thought it was really clean.
It was really clean, a little too clean.
for an abandoned place. Yes, definitely.
And once again, why am I inside this place?
Who knows? But he has to
And
be
why
inside.
are the lights on?
Well, because that's where you start in the video game. You start in the control center with the monitors, and so the game.
Oh, you played
starts,
this?
Yeah. You play like the game starts, and you're in the office with the monitors, and you use those monitors to see where the animatronics are. And so when you have to go out, and sometimes things will break and you have to repair them, so you have to leave the office and go repair them, but you use those monitors to see where the animatronics are, so they don't kill you. So that's probably why they had him sitting in the office. For the video
Fall
game.
back to the video game.
Yeah. But the first night he falls asleep.
Yep. At around 3 a.m. Ironically, we know what that is.
The witching hour, yes. Which I'm going to call BS, because he took one of those pills. You would be out for 10 to 12 hours.
Oh man, listen, he's only working. It's only what, a 10 to 6. It's not even like it's not really an overnight. It's a graveyard, but it's not really overnight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a 10 to 6, I think. Yeah. But he falls asleep the first night, so there's really no incident. He goes back home.
He has his first dream, and we hear the crackling. So like we're aware that something's wrong because we hear the crackling over the speakers, and then he has his first dream, and it's more vivid than he's ever had it before. So that's
right. The first time he meets one of the kids,
right,
or sees all of them and meets the one.
So Mike's just popping Ambien in order to lucid dream, huh?
I guess, because we never exactly are told what he's taking, so I'm assuming it's Ambien.
Yeah. Which would give you crazy hallucinations, which was kind of an angle I thought they were going to take with this whole thing, which was going to be like, was he hallucinating off of the Ambien, or was there something going on?
So what I was thinking, I'm glad you say that, Nick. I was thinking that night 2 is the night when everything really started up. Like I was thinking night 2, the pills started getting to him, and he starts hallucinating about everything there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happens on night 2? Is that when the cop shows up?
Yep.
Yeah. So a cop shows up randomly. So a cop shows up randomly at the security guard or at Freddy's, and one of the only things in the job description is do not let anybody in.
And who does he let in? The pretty blonde.
And the cop just walks right in, like
he was just way too comfortable with all of it.
Familiar. Way too comfortable.
What? She had no reason to even stop and check on him.
No.
Oh, it's on my beat. Oh, are you the new what? What's the last guy's name? Because you don't know the last guy's name.
Well, she kind of does, I'm sure, because
she killed him.
Right. I mean, I can only assume that. Okay. Anyways, she's acting very strange, but then projects onto him that she has that whole spiel where it's like, you've been acting suspicious since you opened this door. I'm like,
how?
Yeah, she's supposed to be the super intuitive cop.
Right.
Yeah, but that just didn't translate very well for me. She was kind of wooden, and I guess it's supposed to indicate that there's a red flag going off about her, but
yeah, they made her act like Jennifer Lawrence and everything.
Damn.
I don't even know. And maybe,
but I mean, I guess you made a point about she's supposed to seem off. Yeah, Yeah, highway trooper just stops into the diner that shut down at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not weird at all.
Yes, to check
And
on you.
hangs out with me for 2 hours, and we just met.
Mm-hmm. Bizarre.
It's not on her beat. You know why it's not on her beat? Where's her radio?
Yeah,
In the car.
she's not getting any calls.
That ain't no car, son.
Yeah, she's not even a cop.
Right.
I mean, it's possible she's not a cop.
She's the kind of cop that go, look, you should have looked at her badge. I never looked at her badge in the movie. She knew where that's the other thing about her that I didn't like.
It was
She
probably
knew
like
where all the
10.
badges were and stuff. Like, oh, hey, let's have you met them? Met who?
Right.
Crazy. First thing she said to him, have you met them?
Man, who?
Here, let me introduce you.
You mean all the
Like, so she knows though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We discovered that night 3 that she knows. And also, when we first meet Vanessa, she comes to the door after he had the dream about getting cut or hit with the rock, which we also find out he's cut on his arm. And Vanessa comes in. So actually, no, Vanessa doesn't just walk in. Vanessa comes in because he's bleeding on the hand, and she goes, "You're bleeding, by the way. Here, let me help you." And then she kind of like pushes her way through so she can help him with first aid.
My
So she
thought
does
was,
just walk in essentially, but she uses him bleeding as her reason.
yes, but my thought was, you don't have a warrant. What are you doing?
Man,
Like, you
my
can't just
job.
walk in here.
Listen here, Ossifer.
Mm-hmm. So what happens after that?
Wait,
They have their
wait.
little
I
chat.
gotta ask.
Huh.
I gotta ask.
Mhm.
I know my answer. If you are Mike, is she pretty enough for her to just push in? Oh,
She's
is
she's
she
she's
pretty enough to
pretty
just push
enough.
through the door?
She's pretty enough to be suspicious.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Is that our
That's the
Mary?
way I would.
She's pretty enough to get away with it.
Yeah, you're like,
For
yeah,
an
she's gonna
average
sell
guy
my
not to find
kidneys.
it weird.
She's gonna sell my kidneys, but I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not the only one that heard that, right, Nick?
But,
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, that's what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
okay, got you.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I would go for it. I'm saying in general, yes. She's pretty enough to get away with it.
It's funny because you said it, and it took my brain a minute to like, she's pretty enough to get away with it. Like, what the fuck? Oh, she's here to cut my kidneys open, and I mean, I kind of think it's possible, but I
Well,
still feel for it. Got it. Okay.
Well, in the broader sense, she's pretty enough to get away with a whole lot worse because we've seen it in the news without me going into details. Right.
Well, in the next scene.
anyways, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she patches him up, and then she's like, "Have you met them?" And then she like unveils the curtain of the creepy Charles Edward Cheese's wannabe animatronics that do a little song for a second, and then she's like, "You want to dance?" And I'm like, "Dude, you are a narc. What is going on here?"
I don't know
Like,
what she was, but I was like,
she's not a narc, that's for sure.
you are trying to entrap me in something.
Yeah, actually, oh man, I thought that
Where
was
the camera
that
at?
was happening too, but it didn't. But go ahead.
I thought she was hired by the aunt, to be honest, to get like dirt on him. Yeah.
Well, we
wait,
find out that she ain't above that.
Yeah, we find out that
I mean, it's almost as bad as that.
it seemed like she was flirting
Actually,
with him.
what she actually did was worse.
Yes, it is much worse.
Who, the aunt?
Yeah.
No, the cop.
Oh yeah.
No, well, I think what the aunt did was actually much worse than that because she actually had the babysitter.
Right, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
she
true.
hired the babysitter to snoop and the boyfriend to vandalize the job.
No, that was the babysitter's brother.
Mhm.
Oh, the babysitter's brother. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we see that the next day where the aunt is sitting down with her lawyer at the diner where they're having a conversation with the babysitter who's been watching Abby and the babysitter's brother. And we find out that the babysitter has been basically babysitting Abby for 2 years or something like that, and has not found any information for the aunt so that she could take over custody. And I'm thinking to myself, man, all of this resources for a kid you don't even want?
It's weird.
You know what?
It's
and
weird.
I thought this was the funniest scene in the entire movie because the
Mhm.
lawyer's like, "Wait, I shouldn't even be here."
I shouldn't be here. I gotta go.
And I thought to myself as the audience member, man, you're not wrong, lawyer. And I feel the same way.
And I was wondering, is the lawyer her husband or something like that? Because he's just way too comfortable with that and being mistreated.
Yeah, he was
Something's
not
going on.
happy. She was very demanding, and the lawyer does try to leave as there's an extortion racket sort of
And then a
happening
murder plot.
and a murder plot. Yeah,
I definitely shouldn't be here for this.
yeah,
Right, he definitely. As soon as said we could kill. No,
Yeah.
you sit down.
um, but thankfully, the aunt decides that we don't need to murder Mike. We just need to make his life hell and ruin his job so that we can get custody of Abby. So they hatch a plan to go to Freddy's and destroy it after he gets off of work. And for some reason, that's going to make him get fired because he was off of his shift. I guess it's because they would assume that he left a door unlocked.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Which
even
is-
make sense because that's still breaking and entering no matter what.
Right,
Even
exactly.
if you left the door
Yeah.
wide open, you still
Exactly.
broke and entered. That's
Yes.
Well. Even though
and
that does
trespass
end up
and all the
happening,
other charges.
right? It's like, well, that does end up happening. The animatronics don't take lightly to that. You know, they wouldn't take lightly to that type of disrespect, and they don't.
Yeah, which is exactly that's it, right? So they go into the Freddy's after Mike gets off of work around 6 a.m, and they break in because he didn't leave anything unlocked. So they break in and they start smashing stuff because that's what they're gonna do. And now all of a sudden the animatronics wake up and go on a murder spree, a good old fashioned murder spree. And this would probably been a better scene if it was rated R. I feel like we could have gotten some fun kills out of this one, but
Right.
the only thing that was decent was that one chick that got cut in half.
That was the babysitter.
That was the babysitter. Yeah. She got cut.
I thought that was pretty messed up.
That was good. I like that one.
Well, I just mean it's messed up because I don't necessarily think she was really all that bad, even though she was going along with the shenanigans. I think she genuinely cared about the kid.
I think so too, but she definitely sold the brother out, and
the brother
Yeah.
was kind of a butthole, so I think he should have got chopped in half, personally.
it was also the babysitter that said we could just kill him. So I mean, I don't know if she's
Was
that
that her?
kind of a person. Yeah.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So
Never mind.
she's super evil, apparently.
Gotcha.
Mike thought about it like, oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't have
Because
to
we
worry
see her
about her.
name, so I feel some kind of way.
Right. We don't have to worry about her anymore.
Nope.
She's dead along with the
Max is
brother.
dead.
And the other two guys,
And the other two guys are all dead.
Whoever they
Um,
were.
Hank and something. I forgot
Right.
the other guy's name.
Hank and Spank.
Hank and Spank. I like that. There you go. And so then the cop shows up at Mike's house, and
Weird.
again, very weird, and like makes a to-do about his sister, and his sister's actually finally speaking now because she wasn't talking to Mike for the first 20-30 minutes of this movie. But then the
She was
girl shows up.
nonverbal.
Yeah, then the girl shows up, and she's like a normal, precocious little girl again out of nowhere.
Happy and cheerful.
Yeah. That was a kind of a weird change up, but I guess they had to actually let Abby like her brother for anything to make any sense, because up until this point, she's ignored him, just been totally rude to him. So
Straight.
Well, she was playing with her imaginary friends, which turned
Yeah.
out to be something more sinister.
Oh yes, much more sinister.
Oh, yes.
But the cop goes over to Mike and berates him for leaving the door unlocked because Freddy's got banged up and turned over. No mention of the bodies, obviously. No mention of the murder that took place at Freddy's. But she scolds him and says, you need to do better and stop falling asleep on the job, because he keeps falling asleep on the job.
What are these?
She found his pills.
It's
Those are
pills,
sleeping
yes.
pills. It's prescription. I know what they are. I can read, but you just asked me, what are these?
What are those? Yeah, and so he goes back that night to clean up, and that's what he does, right? He cleans up Freddy's,
Cleans up all
and
the evidence.
cleans up all the evidence. Yeah, there makes it nice. And is this the night that Abby spends the night there?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. And so
he
he
gets
brings
there.
his 7-year-old sister to an abandoned building
That's been
um,
vandalized.
that's been vandalized and broken into the night before. I'm sure that's going to be I'm sure that's going to be a good mark for him on his custody battle there. But yeah, she goes and so he falls asleep again. I mean, I swear to God, dude, the amount
Well,
this guy falls
he
asleep.
builds her for and puts her to sleep first. Then he pops his pills.
Right. His pills that make him knock out for like 3 hours and then he's up.
Mhm.
I don't know what type of pills those are, but
Placebos. They gave that man sugar pills.
sugar pills, yeah. Yeah, so Abby wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears something. And then we cut to Mike having his lucid dream thing where he's trying to find his dead brother. And then he finally wakes up and Abby is screaming because she got up in the middle of the night to go check out the noise. And this is where we see Abby surrounded by all the animatronics. And she's screaming in horror and pain. And Mike goes up and tries and gets ready to fight him. And then all of a sudden she's okay.
Right.
And
They were tickling her.
this is
They
where
were
the movie
tickling.
this is where the movie takes a very childish turn. Apparently, these animatronics are the ghosts of her imaginary friends. So Abby has apparently had imaginary friends this whole time that she draws pictures of. She makes all these, she makes like these friends. And I guess at Freddy's, they jump into the animatrons, but they were kids at her house.
No.
They're
What it
not
is
kids at her house.
no. What it is these are the kids that the serial killer that kidnapped them and put their bodies in the animatronics because he specifically designed those animatronics himself.
Right. But what I'm saying is that when she has imaginary friends at her house without going to Freddy's, they look like kids.
Right. And that's because they're attached to her because of the fact that their brother that got kidnapped was one of his victims. And that's why they're attached to him. But he's not actually one of the spirits that's attached. So that part doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Yes. And I guess I think the serial killer plot really is like the last minute of the last act. But yeah, that is where the sort of the revelation of Mike's dreams goes to, is that his brother was taken by a serial killer. But Mike is freaking out and he's surrounded. Abby's surrounded by the animatronics, but they're friendly and they are nice to her and they like her, but they're kind of suspicious of Mike. And this is where we find out that drawings are something that they respond to, and Abby gives the bear a drawing of a heart before they leave, and everything is okay. Right? Right. Somehow.
So that's how that works, huh?
Yeah. And so they go home, and then what happens? What's going on here?
They go home and they discuss the animatronics. They discuss her pictures. And he realizes that she's been drawing them the whole time. And then the picture of Garrett that she drew because they told her about Garrett and what happened. And then they go back to Freddy's that next night because now they know about the yellow rabbit and everything. And also, let's be very clear, this shit is not normal. But what's about to happen this next coming night, they make this seem very normal.
Yes. Right.
Vanessa,
so they all go back to Freddy's. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. They go back to Freddy's and Vanessa is already inside. And I'm just like, wave the red flag. As they come inside and then Abby just walks in and walks up to the characters like, hey, I'm back. And they just start congregating with her and shit. It's like, hold on, whoa. Looking at Vanessa, and Vanessa's just like, oh, so like, wait, hold on.
Oh yeah. By the way, I know all of this stuff. Yeah.
I know that they move around on their own. Like, wait a damn minute. You know that you ain't told me nothing.
One cotton picking minute. Listen. I ain't got time for that.
So apparently Vanessa knows that there are these haunted animatronics, and she knows more than she's letting on, but she doesn't let on more than that right now.
Right.
And Mike sort of has a moment with her privately where he's like, if you know anything about my brother, I need you to just, like tell me. And she freaks out and is like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And I'm trying to help you and blah, blah, blah. And then they build a fort out of tables. And well, no, they do that first. And then they have the conversation in the closet about how
The way you put that, though.
yeah.
You did. You're not
That is
wrong.
what they do. They build a
Right,
fort out of
right.
tables and hang out. And then when they come back from their conversation, Abby is playing with the animatronics and there's a song going on, and she goes to strum the guitar of one of the animatronics and gets super zapped. Gets like Jurassic Park zapped.
Mhm.
And she comes to, thank God. I mean, had she had died at Freddy's, that would have been terrible.
Right.
And what happens after that?
Well, we did skip that while they were in the storage room. They had a big argument,
Right.
Mike and Vanessa, to where Vanessa is like angry, but she also looks afraid. And she's like, "Well, I'm not the one who brung her here. You are.
Right.
If anything happens to Abby, it's on you." And it's like, wait, what the fuck? What are you talking about right now?
And then
later,
something happens to her.
she threatens, right? Then that happens, and then she threatens Mike and says, "If you bring her back here, I'll shoot you."
I was like, well, wait a damn ass minute.
Right.
Man.
That went from 0 to 100 really fast.
Real
Right,
quick.
that really escalated quickly.
Yeah.
She just let you know nobody should be there.
I was just asking you about my dead brother, and all of a
That's
sudden
what
you're
I
saying
should
you're
know.
going to shoot me? Come on, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they go back home again. There's a lot of going home and coming back and going
Mhm.
home.
It literally gets all the way to the 5th night at Freddy's.
Right. So they
Damn.
go home. They go home after she gets electrocuted, and then what? They go back.
Let's see. He goes back. She gets electrocuted and Aunt Jan stays with her the next night.
Right.
He's
Right.
back at work the next night, and then he has another dream, and they ask him for Abby in exchange to get Garrett back. He says yes, then he says no.
Which was confusing.
And
Like,
yeah, but then he realizes he's asleep, but he wakes up to a grinder sound because he's in the grinder seat and he's been getting cut up, and they was about to saw his face off and kill him. But
How did
even though
that
he's
happen?
caught, yeah, because he was asleep and they just snatched him up.
and he was back on pills because he cussed out the black pharmacist dude. I remember that distinctly.
Yep, Ambien is how that happened apparently.
Mhm.
Sleptwalk himself all the way into a death trap.
Mhm.
But then even you get back to the house then, and that's when you're at the house and Aunt Jane is killed by Freddy.
That's right. The animatronics come to the house somehow.
Why she couldn't get chopped in half too?
And a little blind kid who's a ghost tells her, "Oh, don't worry, Aunt Jan is silly. She just fell asleep like that." Like,
Yeah.
bruh,
Oh, that makes
stupid
sense.
kid.
And
Because
then
even
That
at
makes so
8
much
years old,
sense.
I would believe that.
and apparently
Yeah.
there was a cab waiting for them.
Right.
Yeah, they got a cab, and black dude driving the cab lets the little white girl and a big ass
So
Animatronic
robot
bear,
who called
just
the
hop in the
cab?
back seat. I want to know too.
the ghost.
I mean, either the animatronic called the cab or the ghost. One or
His
the other.
finger's too big for him to use the phone, so I'm calling bullshniggeries on that.
Agreed.
They used the electromagnetic current.
I mean, is it reasonable to
Plot
believe
twist.
that he got there in a cab?
Still, question would
Damn.
be who called it.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely is, but it also would raise the question why the cab driver was surprised to see the animatronic.
Well, I don't think he took the cab there. I think
How'd he get
I
there?
think he magically teleported or flew, and then to get the little girl back, they had to
makes
call a
sense.
cab.
That makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
I know it doesn't make sense.
Hey, Nick,
Yes.
plot.
Very. Oh, yeah. See, I have it there. There we
Right.
go. Plot. Yes. I can point
See,
to it now.
now that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. You guys, I stand corrected. So
Yep.
Abby
It's not
goes.
you. It's them.
Abby goes to Freddy's with, or is that where they go?
Yep,
They
they
go
go to
back to the
Freddy's.
yeah.
Okay. So they go to Freddy's, and this is the final thing. Basically, the ghosts have made they think that they've made a deal with Mike,
Right.
but they didn't want to hear the no anyway, so they think they were just going to do it. But apparently, these ghost kids were the kids that were abducted by the serial killer and then put into these animatronics to live forever as, I don't know, minions or whatever, robo minions.
Oh, that's
And apparently, even their ghost selves do the bidding of the serial killer, even though I thought it was just the animatronics that did the bidding.
No, it's their ghosts. They felt obligated.
for
They
some
feel
reason.
right. For some reason, they are
Right.
working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for some reason, the ghost kids want to bring Abby to the serial killer so that he can murder her and then put her in an animatronic so that they all can play together.
Well, that I'm not so sure about. I don't know that he has to do the killing because it looks like they were just gonna put her in the animatronic that was in the storage room where Mike and Vanessa had got into it because she was showing him that the coils or whatever, spring coils or whatever. Yeah, they're spring loaded, so they just snap, and you could lose an arm or a finger or whatever. And they were just gonna put her in it, and it was gonna kill her, I guess.
Right.
So I don't think he had to actually be there for it.
But I mean, he is there for it. So the serial killer, he's there for it. So I would assume that he either kills them that way or then kills them first and then puts their corpses into the animatronic.
Well, they're not that clear on that part, to be fair.
I don't know.
That part's not really clear.
No, it's not. A lot of it isn't that clear. Because the serial killer really comes in at the very last part of this movie, and it's the yellow bunny. And plot twist. And Mike is at Freddy's, and how does he get alerted to this?
The yellow bunny?
Yeah, or just like that.
He was drawing the yellow bunny. Abby was drawing the bunny.
Right.
No, there was another reason.
And then Vanessa eventually tells him that the serial killer that took his brother. Huh?
And in the dream, they told him about a bunny. And then they told his sister about a yellow bunny.
Right, because the ghost drew the bunny in the dirt.
Right.
And then he puts it together that there's a bunny involved somehow. And then Vanessa tells him, well, the serial killer is my dad. And I didn't know my dad killed your brother and all these kids because all these kids disappeared in the 80s and stuff.
That's why I became a cop.
Right.
To catch the killer. I mean, protect the killer. I mean,
and stuff.
I mean, but she knows her dad is a serial killer.
Definitely.
And she's a cop. Doesn't that make her an accessory after the fact?
Yes.
An accomplice. It's not even an accessory.
Right.
You're
right.
Security guards is disappearing. She's definitely an accomplice.
And then he shows him the picture of her and her dad holding his brother's airplane that he was kidnapped with.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So we find out that the serial killer is Vanessa's dad, and she is conflicted about how. I don't know. The movie just tells you that that you needed to know this now, and that she wasn't going to lead off with this at some point earlier in the movie.
Right.
All right. What happens now?
Let's see. She comes to. Oh wait. She tells him about the kidnapped brother, Mike. He shocks the different animatronics. He pours the water, shocks into on the stage. Then the one on the fox is chasing Abby through the place.
Right.
And then Vanessa comes and saves her. Let's see. What's his name again? Mike shocks the other one. Was that the bird?
Mm-hmm.
And then the yellow rabbit appears to Mike. and Mike
Right.
has to fight the Yellow Rabbit, which is like the big boss at this point. So
Yeah.
it is again reminding you it's kind of in a video game because like, oh, we're fighting the big boss, but the big boss hurts kids, so yeah, it's not
Yeah.
hitting the way it should. And as
And
far
he
as the
beats
movie
the shit
goes,
out of Mike.
beats the
Um,
shit out of Mike.
yeah.
Right.
And he wakes all the other ones up because we got to remember that they're not real. How can they be hurt?
Well, and you got to keep in mind that the the yellow rabbit is actually just the dude in the costume.
Yes.
Yes, the Yellow Rabbit is
It's
a
not an
real
actual
person.
animatronic.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that they're not the others aren't animatronics either. They were suits
real
that,
people in
and
there,
that,
yeah.
yeah, with real people in them. It's just that they had mechanized parts to them.
That killed him.
Yeah.
Where he got to he got
It's
to
kind of
actually control
it kind of reminds me a little bit of what the hell is that movie?
Charles E. Cheese, the
No,
documentary.
Pinhead.
Pinhead.
Hellraiser?
Yeah, Hellraiser. Like those mechanisms that end up killing you.
Mhm.
Like that's kind of what it reminded me of because it's
Oh,
like
I
that
get what you're
cage
saying.
that sits at your chest, and then any false move and it'll puncture you. Yeah. So we find out that the Yellow Bunny is the serial killer, and the serial killer is none other than Matthew Lillard from Without a Paddle.
Yeah, or William Afton.
You mean the dude from
In this-
Scream?
Yes.
as his name is in this movie, William Afton.
But
And
wait,
for the record, he's also Shaggy from Scooby Doo Mysteries.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You're right. Yeah,
He's in a lot of stuff actually.
he is. But yes,
And this is the first time I've ever seen him play an absolute villain.
That's true. And we only find out that it's Matthew Lillard after Vanessa pulls a gun on him and says, "Freeze, Dad. I'm not going to let you kill anybody anymore."
no more killing kids,
Even though
Dad.
if you were paying attention through this movie, you kind of knew who it was and you figured that out a while ago. But hey,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I figured it was her dad. I just didn't. I didn't think about him because he was in such a brief scene. I should have figured that out, but
I didn't quite figure out him until I started thinking back to like he was kind of like giggling and trying to force him to take this job.
right.
Kind of shady about it. Yeah.
Once I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But he ends up stabbing his own daughter,
As
who is saved by Mike and Abby as he is. Abby draws a picture showing the ghost kids what really happened to them.
Yeah.
From the Yellow Bunny. And because I'm guessing he wasn't harming them as the Yellow Bunny, he was harming them as the human. So what they saw was the Yellow Bunny coming to save them as the animatronics.
I personally enjoyed the fact that he stabbed her because F her.
She deserved it.
Yeah, she deserved it. Of course she did.
I'm glad we in this movie not knowing if she's gonna make it or not.
Yeah. I think that you just killed her. She deserved it.
Every bit of it.
Yep.
Just as guilty as he is.
Yeah,
for sure.
So the animatronics take the Matthew Lillard and basically entomb him in his suit and make sure that those spring-loaded death spikes that are wrapped around your rib cage in some animatronic suit puncture him and kill him, so that now he is one with the suit and he is basically one of them.
And invincible now.
And invincible now, exactly.
I was thinking the same thing, Mike. I was like, so he gets to live forever now?
Yeah, as a murderous bunny. Yeah, we definitely created a monster there, but we find out that he's not dead anyways. He's just sort of
being tortured.
He's just in a supply closet being electrocuted. So of course there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
I hope not. I mean, yay.
Oh no, there's definitely gonna be a sequel.
So Matt, Abby, and Vanessa are able to escape. They take Vanessa to the hospital, and then all of a sudden everything is cool.
Right, because nobody found Auntie's body.
Right. Nobody
at
found
the
dead aunt's body at their house. I'm sure that lawyer was just fine, just glad to get rid of her. But
get rid of her, yeah.
Nah, because now he has a reason to do something, or
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure she didn't pay a bill, so I'm sure he's looking for her at some point. Yeah, so everything is honky dory now. Mike and Abby are, doing great, even though he doesn't have a job. still.
Right, because now he's lost another job.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure he's still delinquent on their rent, so they're going to get evicted soon.
Well, we
Yeah.
haven't met the landlord. Maybe the guy owned the building too.
Maybe. There you go. Yeah, it was all an elaborate ruse. So they visit whatever Vanessa in the hospital. She's in a coma, and then what do they do after that? That's it, right?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that's it.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. That's the end of the movie.
That is the
Woohoo,
exact end of
Netflix
the movie.
movie.
I'm sitting here like, is he joking? No, he's serious. He really wants a response. Like, yeah, no, there's nothing else to talk about.
No, yeah,
Um,
I don't think I missed anything else.
There's not even any post-credit scenes.
No.
I wouldn't know. I turned it off immediately.
Same here.
Immediately.
I had to. My eyeballs needed a shower.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it for our retelling, everybody. I think that we can give our final thoughts and our ratings. So who wants to go first? I can go first, but if you guys want to go first, you can do that too.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think this movie's kind of weak. I think that if I was 13, it would be better, because I do think that it's geared more towards teenage kids, young teenage kids. I don't know if anybody past 15 would enjoy it as much, but if I was a teen, I probably would rate this a 6, but I'm not, so this is going to be a 4. It's not terrible. It's not really that offensive, but it's also it could have been done a lot better, in my opinion. I think that if you had raised it to a rated R and then just had people trapped in there that were trying to get out of that building, that would have been just fine with me. I think the story kind of suffers a little bit. There's a little bit too much of this sort of saccharine family thing going on, but yeah. The tone is kind of a little bit all over the place, but again, if you look at it through the lens that it's geared towards kids, then it makes a little bit more sense. So, yeah, I'm going to give this a 4. I'm feeling a very light 4 with this. I could even go down to a 3.5. So,
I'm surprised. I
I
did
think
not
we're
expect
about
you
on
to
the same
like this
page.
that much.
I
Wow, you guys really like this movie.
mean, a 4 is below average.
Right.
Yeah, but it's way better than Blood and Honey.
Oh, everything is better than that, just about.
Yeah, but Blood and Honey got like a 0.5. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm in the agreement with you, Nick. I gave it about a 4.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the animatronic theme. I think that was pretty cool. I thought they were actually really creepy. I thought they did a decent job on the creepy factor.
Mm-hmm.
However, it just was lacking in everything else.
Right. Yeah.
Characters I didn't care for. I wasn't really invested in any one of them. I didn't like the aunt. They did a decent enough job with making her undesirable, Cruella de Vil.
Mm-hmm.
But that was about it.
Right.
That's pretty much where the line is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Fair enough.
What about you, Nick? Where you at? I mean, Keelan, where you at?
Well, yeah, for me, I'm at like a 2.
Fair.
This really Nick mentioning this as a possible kids movie gets it to like a 2-3 for me, not a 4. 4 is a reach. But yeah, and maybe it's because I had expectations, even though I had no record, like no basis, no formed basis for what to expect. But I expected it to be a little scarier, a little gorier, a little more everything, and make more sense. And it did none of those things. In fact, the longer this movie was on, the worse it got. It just did. The longer we had to endure it, and they kept trying to spin this and spin that and spin this and spin that, it got worse.
Yeah. It's almost 2 hours long. That's too long.
Too long.
Really?
Extreme. It's too long, and they still missed so much. Like this movie could have been an hour longer. I still don't think they would have executed like the storyline, and I'm not sure if they executed everything they were trying to visually either. But that wasn't the worst. But yeah, I'm giving this a 2. I think this is the first time in a long time I've had the lowest rating, and I'm stretching for this too. Just keeping it real. So yeah.
That's fair enough. That brings us to a 10 out of 3, and that's a 3.3.
3.3. Yeah.
So we're at a 3.3 for Five Nights at Freddy's. Thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate all of you out there. Hit that thumbs up and the subscription button. It would really help us out. We want to build that audience. We're stuck at 227 subscribers, and thank you to each and every one of you for hitting that subscribe button. It means the world to us, but we want to raise that number. We want to build our audience out, and we can't do that without your help. So if you have not subscribed, please consider it. Also, that hitting that like button really helps us out too, pushes us into the algorithm. We get seen by more people, and so those are the ways that you can help us out if you like our content. If you don't like our content, don't worry about it. Don't do any of that stuff. It's all good.
No. If they don't like it, they better do it anyway.
Okay, fair enough. That's what Mike says. Listen to Mike. I think that's going to be it for us tonight, everyone. So again, thank you so much. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think about Five Nights at Freddy's. What would you rate it? Hit that comment section down below, and we will be sure to read it and appreciate your input. Thank you again. We appreciate all of you out there. If you want to check out more podcasts that we do, we have an archive of podcasts that probably have 500, 600 episodes here. You can check out all of these here, but make a note of hitting up Twitch and going to Strawberries and Coffee and King_of_Ilion. That's where Big Mike does his streams on Twitch. So make sure you go subscribe to him and hit that notification bell so that you get notified when he goes live, because he does it a lot. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm honestly still sitting here thinking about this movie. I'm just like, yeah, it was missing so much, and I couldn't even talk about all it was missing, because then I'm recreating the movie. I didn't want to do that tonight.
Right.
Fair enough.
Because that's where that's where our reviews tend to go when it's really bad. We tend to start remaking the whole movie, and our ideas seem to be pretty good in comparison.
Right.
But then we ain't getting paid for these ideas. So
I'm gonna end with saying I agree with Nick that I think a young teenage kid, or like right before like you hit double digits, 10, 11-year-old kid will love this movie. Like, really, as I've sat here and thought about it after he said that, I could see like 3rd to 5th grade kids, this would be like their jam.
It would be like the cool adult film that
you know
get
what?
to watch.
What you do is you watch this movie, and then you take them to Edward Cheese's place.
Yeah.
You better get him
And
kids
let them have a good
diapers.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you
All
make it extra creepy by messing with them.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Nick, you had a great
It's
seg out,
good.
and I
No
messed it all up.
worries. It's all good, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks to Keelan, and thanks to Mike, and thanks to all of you out there. For Screen Time Continuum, my name is Nick.
I'm Keelan.
And I'm Mike.
Good night, everyone.
Appreciate you guys. Don't get scared by the animatronics. They just
No,
wanna
be
your
scared.
friend.
Be scared.
Very afraid.
Pay for this movie.